Maverick traders, this is Imri and welcome to today's currency recap. It is Thursday, September 7th, and I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, this year has absolutely flown by, especially the summertime. Okay, we're going to get right into it. So today we'll be going over some meaningful news. We're going to take a look at the broader equity and commodity markets. We're also going to do some technical analysis on the major indices. We're of course going to look at the currency baskets and see if there's any major news reports ahead for the week. And then finally, we're going to look at some trading setups in the currency markets. In this currency recap, we will be using some advanced technical analysis. We believe technical analysis is the fundamental skill of every profitable Forex and crypto trader. Maverick Currencies is currently hiring serious technical traders for a trader position. Traders will trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits generated. If you are a technical trader with a technically based trading system, we want to meet you. Click the application link in the description below this video. All right, let's break down today's market action. All right, so here's some interesting news for the day. iPhones are banned for use by Chinese government employees. I'm not saying that's why Apple lost $200 billion in market value in 2 days, but the CNBC is apparently saying that. So I think that's a spurious conclusion to draw. I think the iPhone use is interesting, but the statistic about Apple losing $200 billion over 2 days is pretty staggering indeed. That is just a stupid amount of money. Okay, so taking a look at the broader market, down day for stocks, crypto holding its head above water, but just barely, gold more or less flat, and oil slightly down on the day. In the currency world, the yen is the king today, the dollar pretty flat, and the New Zealand dollar is right behind the yen, not something you see very often. The European currencies all slightly underwater, the Aussie flat, and the loonie a little bit underwater too. Looking at crypto, Bitcoin kept its head above water, but Bitcoin Cash is down on the day. So for the market outlook, things just keep flip-flopping back and forth at a furious pace. We're trading below both moving averages, but the slope is neutral. Therefore, we have a -2 rating. Taking a look at this chart of the S&P 500, I've outlined a key level, which if we breach that, we're looking at significant downside. It is 43.56. Right now, there are a couple of ways to assess this chart. There's one pretty aggressive bullish interpretation, which suggests we're going to bottom tomorrow. Or very early next week, Monday, or I would say at the latest, and then we're going to go shooting back up to test 4,600. That's one way to look at it. And like I said, if we don't see some form of tradable bottom tomorrow, I will abandon that scenario and favor the bearish one, which will be triggered by a breach of 43.56. We're going to cross that bridge if and when we get to it. But as of right now, I would say the market's in fairly dangerous neutral territory. This has been a very tricky market, and that trickiness is set to continue. All right, moving on with news. So, Bank of Canada has held rates. That was the big news. But they're also leaving the door open to further rate hikes, which I think many central banks are doing right now. So that's an interesting phenomenon to say the least. Tomorrow we have Canadian employment news and then Chinese inflation in the evening, which could affect the market's opening on Sunday. So keep an eye on that, on those Chinese numbers. Okay, taking a look now at currency analysis. So in terms of volatility, the yen's at a +3, the dollar is mildly positive. We've got the Aussie and Kiwi at a 0. And then I'm really interested in the European currencies on the negative side of the scale. Those are definitely currencies we're going to be taking a look at in just a moment as we start looking at some potential trades. So we're going to kick things off with the yen. I called out this falling wedge. We're almost through it. Not quite yet. We need one more strong day. And then I think the yen unwind could potentially be on, which means a scary surge of yen strength. Whether that coincides with a scary surge of risk-off sentiment in the equity markets is yet to be determined. US dollar is, I think, losing steam is the best way to put it. We've broken out of this channel. So this phenomenon here is called throw over, all right? Throw over puts the market in a make or break situation. Whenever I see this and look at this little doji candle balancing on top of the resistance line, I really need to see tomorrow whether we get a large bearish engulfing candle or not. If we do, then I would say we are looking lower in the US dollar. But if we manage to break above today's high and maintain above today's high, then I'm looking at a move roughly to about 127 in this basket. The Swiss franc, also starting to lose a bit of steam. Look at this bearish divergence in the relative strength index. I mean, that tells me that Swiss franc strength is nearing an end. So before I was saying buy the Swissy on pullbacks, I'm not so sure about that anymore. I would be patient with the Swissy and let the Swiss franc reveal itself accordingly. You can see the secondary trend line I've drawn. If we crack that, I'm pretty sure we're gonna go test the secondary trend line. On the other hand, if we continue trading sideways, then we just might end up having a high base and a break higher. So given that the Swissy has so many different possibilities right now, I think the best thing to do is to leave it alone until it becomes more clear. The euro is looking like it wants to test this trend line, and if we get a significant break, I'm going to look for a pullback to that trend line, treat it as resistance, and then look for sharply lower in the euro. So I'm excited by the euro's short to intermediate term trading prospects, and it's a fairly similar deal with the British pound. We have broken this trend line, yes, but not really convincingly. I'd like to see a stronger push down, a very clear bear rally, and then it's game on. Is there a bullish scenario in the pound? Yes, I would say this is key support in the pound. You know, technically, so long as we remain above 156.61 in this basket, you can say that, you know, we have still a series of higher highs and higher lows. So if we do break this to the downside, then my bearish sentiment on the pound is gonna be more or less off the charts. That doesn't mean we can't short the pound. I think there are good opportunities to short the pound, or there have been historically over the last few days, is particularly against the dollar. Okay, next up is the Canadian dollar, where we had this strong push down and then what looks to be a fairly choppy corrective sequence ever since. So I'd be looking for the loonie to break this trend line in order for us to see acceleration to the downside. The Aussie dollar. Okay, so the Aussie dollar is broken out of this corrective channel and we're just kind of chopping around right now. There could be scope for a little push higher, but ultimately I would like to see those lows from August get retested. And then finally we have the Kiwi. So the New Zealand dollar has been trying to break down out of this channel. I think we will, whether we trade slightly sideways for a little bit longer or not. And then as far as targets go, really the next significant target is all the way down here, which is the October 2022 lows. All right, traders, that wraps things up. As always, make sure you're playing relative strength and weakness. Make sure you're following proper position sizing as per your trading plan. No events tomorrow, and I look forward to seeing all of you next week. Bye for now.